Welcome to the Pursue Purpose podcast. This podcast is for ambitious women who want to cultivate a meaningful life in the pursuit of their purpose. After achieving the highest level of academic success, yet feeling unfulfilled, I was left wondering what was next. I discovered my purpose in helping women feel seen, understand their self-worth, and live their best lives. I quit my scientific career path for a life full of freedom and flexibility, and now I want to teach and inspire other women to pursue their purpose. Thank you for being here, and let's get started. Hey there, it's Jacqueline Benet here. I just wanted to start chronicling my full-time entrepreneurial journey. I did something this last week, and it was something that I did not expect for the longest time. It was something that I just planned in the last year or so to really take this leap, and that was quit my full-time 9-to-5 corporate science job. So for me, it has been quite a journey to get here. I definitely was not planning on doing this full-time until more recently. I've been shooting weddings for almost 11 years now, and I started in graduate school. So I've always just done both, like science, math, and the arts. And, out of high school, I was like, do I go the art direction, do music? Because I was doing a lot of piano, violin, viola. I did a lot of music in high school. But it just didn't seem stable to me or secure. And so I went the science direction and on into getting a PhD in biomedical sciences. But during that graduate school time, I really just fell in love with doing something creative on the side again. So I wasn't doing music at that point, and I decided to get into photography. I was just bringing my camera everywhere, and one thing led to the next where I was starting to shoot weddings. I can go into more detail on kind of the backstory at some point, but cut to the chase. I mean, here I am 11 years later still photographing weddings and portraits for women through all their different seasons of life. And it's just become such a fulfilling career for me. So I started off while I was getting a PhD. At the end of graduate school, I was starting to grapple with these feelings of where were my passions really? Like, I really had to come to terms with that, and that was not easy because I am someone who is high achieving. I always wanted to get to the highest level of whatever I was doing, hence the PhD. But I think while I was doing grad school, I realized, I saw people who had true passions for the sciences and the research that they were doing. They would spend their whole hours, right? Like, out of the lab on the weekends. They were reading papers. They were up on all the newest trends and the science areas, and I just wasn't really as into it. I did great work, and I thought I was a really thoughtful, methodical scientist, but I didn't find a passion in it where I, was like up at night thinking about it. But I did realize that I really enjoyed not just the photography aspect of my business, but the business side as well, and thinking about branding and marketing and all of the different facets. And also there's a technical side as well. So I think it really just worked well for me in whole, right? Like finding truly what I was passionate about in all these different areas, because it encompassed not only creativity and technical, but also, working with people and all of those fun things too. So after grad school, I did a postdoc thinking I was going to go and become a scientist in the biotech industry. And I ended up not doing that. I actually moved back home to the Seattle area. I was in San Diego at the time. And we started our family. So in 2019 was when we came back to the Seattle area where I grew up, and had my first child, my son, Arthur. And things were kind of slow on the photography side for a while, because when you move, it can be hard to have that relocation, have new clientele, and all of that. So things were slow, but I was just, working on it in the background. I got a job as a technical support scientist, so I was helping other scientists with the instrumentation that they were using for their own research, and I could help with like data analysis and do remote support and things like that. And that was really a great job, but it again didn't feel fulfilling in the sense that I could just keep doing this for the rest of my life. I knew that it was temporary, and I really was struggling with like my identities and where I would go after. Whenever my manager was like, let's talk about, the future, where do you see yourself? Like those kinds of things. I really struggled with seeing myself in this corporate environment. When I first started off, it was in a cubicle. And then when I was able to transition to, doing remote from home, it was sitting at my desk from 9 to 5 all day long. And it didn't feel right to me. I enjoyed the job, but I knew that there was something else out there for me. And so I think part of it was that I didn't feel safe or secure in my photography business at the time, that I could bring in the type of income that I wanted to. And so I slowly started building that on the side, again, because I was looking for that creative outlet. It wasn't strategic necessarily, it was just building out of passion. And I could fuel all of what I earned from that business and put it back in as I was growing it in the Seattle area. So in the last 3 years, my husband has been in law school, and I was the primary income for our household. And now that he has graduated, we have that safety security from his income again, where it afforded me the opportunity to be able to dream and actually realize that I could make my photography business my full-time career. So again, I did not expect that I would do this. I definitely toyed with the idea back and forth for the last, 11 years I've been working on this. Many people have asked me over these years, like, are you going to quit your job? Will you ever make this full time? And I always thought it was just going to be something I did on the side, because I always did both. I always had my science, math things I did, and I always had my creative art things I did. And at a certain point, we had 2 kids. My husband was doing law school. I was working on the business. It got really hard to juggle a 9 to 5 corporate plus a business and the kids, and my husband studying a lot. It was just a lot going on the last couple years. And so I really wanted to pare back and figure out, I knew I couldn't do all of it forever in that way. I needed to find a way to streamline my life a little bit better, because it wasn't what I envisioned. It was just getting burnt out, I think. So I realized that I just needed more time with my kids. They were still so little. My daughter Eleanor is 2.5. My son's 5 now. And I didn't want to miss out on these younger years where they're, not really in school yet. I was working 9 to 5 all day. I was doing a lot of evenings. I would shoot on weekends. And so I really was not around a ton in the last couple of years of when Eleanor was, in her first couple of years of life. When she was a baby, I definitely was, I did a lot more with her and slowed down on the photography side. But as I was ramping up in the last year, I couldn't see them as much as I wanted. So that was why, with all of these factors, it made sense for me to finally take this leap. And, I built it in a way where I feel pretty stable and secure in what I'm able to bring in for my family, and I think it's going to be really great. So what I want to do is kind of chronicle what I've been going through. So I'm going to record these every once in a while, and this past first week of full-time entrepreneurship, it has felt amazing. It's been just beautiful to have such freedom to figure out my own schedule, to have time with my kids when they wake up from their naps, or in the morning, like we can go for a walk, or I can just like read to them. We can sit in the backyard. I don't have to be stuck at my desk. Like the first Friday after I quit, I was like sitting outside just thinking, like, I'm not stuck at my desk looking out the window anymore. Like, I can literally, sit with them and see them and like enjoy them. And that has felt really good. So, this first week, like, I've had consultation calls, I've had, appointments where people are ordering artwork, and that's gone really well. I've had people decline, booking, a session, or people who didn't want to buy art. Like, there's been already such a roller coaster in this first week, but it's all worth it. It's all worth it because I'm able to have that freedom of choice and flexibility where I can do what I want with my schedule and be able to really carve out the time with my kids in the way that I want to. And for me, that has been just everything. I did not expect to cry on this first video, but here I am, just being just real about, where I'm at now. And I'm excited to just continue this and talk about, how things are going, and checking in every once in a while, maybe in this first year or so of running this full time. I'm sure it'll be a roller coaster because it already has in this first week, but it honestly has felt just amazing in whole. And so I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I really appreciate your guys' support as we continue on this journey. And I just really want to thank you guys for following along. Thanks so much.